Hello students, how are you? I hope you all are fine. I think my previous lecture is clear to you. So today we will discuss the rest part of the chapter. So welcome to my next lecture, grade 10, topic structure and functions of the nephron. In this video we will discuss about the nephron. So nephron is the functional unit found within the kidney. As I told you, kidney is made up of the millions of microscopic nephron which is richly supplied with blood. So to fully understand the functions of the kidney, the functions of the nephron must be studied or understood, since it is the structure that carry out excretion and osmoregulation. Osmoregulation means maintenance of the ion concentration in water. So this is a diagram of the nephron. Okay. After that, each nephron has the following structures. First, Bowman capsule, also known as renal capsule. Second, PCT. You can say proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, LH, DCT, distal convoluted tubule, and last is the collecting duct, also known as CD. So next is the Bowman capsule. In this figure you can see afferent arteriole, efferent arteriole, and this is the Malpighian body which is highly magnified. So let's start. What is glomerulus? A mass of the capillary enclosed by the Bowman capsule. Afferent arteriole, a branch of the renal artery that supply the blood to glomerulus. Efferent arteriole that take blood away from the glomerulus. Malpighian body, the structure which consisting of the Bowman capsule and glomerulus. Okay. After that, there is a hydrostatic pressure in the glomerulus due to the concentration of the left ventricle of the heart and the fact that the diameter of the afferent arteriole is larger than that of the efferent arteriole. The difference in the diameter between the two vessels that will raise the hydrostatic blood pressure. This causes blood to filter in the Bowman capsule under pressure. So that process is known as ultrafiltration. As a result, only molecule with RMM less than 68,000 that can enter the capsule, like water, glucose, amino acids, hormones, salt, urea, while the larger molecule like plasma protein, blood cells remain in the blood and exit the Malpighian body via efferent arteriole. The blood must pass several filtering barriers before it can enter the capsule. So, PCT, proximal convoluted tubule, this is the longest part of the nephron and located in the cortex of the kidney. Two parts are there, cortex and the medulla. And it is surrounded by many capillaries that are very close to the walls. Approximately 80% of the glomerular filtrate is reabsorbed here via the selective reabsorption. Cubical epithelial cells line the tubule wall and have many microvilli on their free surface, which increase the surface area of the wall which is exposed to filtrate. And the fact is that the total surface area of the human PCT is 50 meter square. So in this picture you can see the PCT, DCT and CD. After that, there is a rich blood supply surrounding each nephron, which is important for the reabsorption process. And the cubical epithelial cell which is lining the tubule, which invaginate to form the intercellular and subcellular space. next to the basement membrane of the capillary. Then now the glucose and amino acids, these are absorbed into the blood by active transport, that you know what is active transport, across the enfolded membrane and subcellular spaces. This solute will diffuse from the filtrate to the cell, then through to the subcellular spaces and then into bloodstream. This sets up a concentration gradient which is maintained as a reabsorbed solute are carried away by the flowing blood. Other mineral ions are also actively absorbed like glucose and amino acid. As so many of the solute are removed, the filtrate become hypotonic which has lower concentration of the solute molecule than the surrounding bloodstream, stimulating water to move via osmosis from the filtrate to the blood. This leads to the filtrate and the blood being isotonic, which have same solute concentration by the time the filtrate reaches the end of the tube. However, since urea is not actively reabsorbed, its concentration in the filtrate is much higher in the blood, and urea unavoidably diffuse back into the bloodstream and is taken away. So this is a model of the water and solute reabsorption, okay, between the lumen of PCT and blood vessel which is near to the PCT. Okay, so after that, the loop of Henle or LH. This hairpin band structure has a descending limb and ascending limb, is found in the medulla of the kidney. I told you two parts are there, medulla and the cortex. The descending limb has thin wall permeable to the water and penetrate deep into the medulla. But the ascending limb has thicker, relatively impermeable wall that return to the cortex. Surrounding the loop is a network of capillary, one part of which has same hairpin structure called vasa recta. And that you need to know, the loop of Henle works by making the concentration of the interstitial tissue, the medulla, hypertonic. That means greater solute concentration to the filtrate by actively transporting chloride ion out of filtrate into the surrounding. The sodium ion passively follow. This occur in the thick part of ascending limb. The deeper part of the medulla near the pelvis is the most concentrated and therefore has the lowest water potential. Then the filtrate at the end of the PCT entering the LH loop which is isotonic. So at a descent the loop, it is carried through tissue of the increasing solute concentration and permeable wall of the descending lip which enable water to leave the filtrate by osmosis and enter the surrounding tissue. This water passes into vasa recta and is carried away in the blood. This is possible because blood in the vasa recta is flowing the deeper, more concentrated region of the medulla. So its water potential is lower than the filtrate of adjacent descending limb. The continuous flow of the water in the descending lip causes the filtrate to have the same water potential as the surrounding tissue by the time it reaches the hairpin band, both of which are hypertonic to the blood. The active removal of sodium chloride is ascending limb leave the filtrate hypertonic to the blood as it enters the DCT. This tissue then become more concentrated with the filtrate, which would normally lead to osmosis. But water is prohibited from the leaving because of the impermeable wall of ascending limb. The mode of action of the LH is also called the counter current multiplier system, since the filtrate flows in the opposite direction into the limbs. The pumping of the sodium chloride ion in ascending limb and the withdrawal of the water from the descending limb can be multiplied if the loop is longer, and this is important in the water conservation as more water can withdraw a more concentrated urine produced. This works since the concentration of solute in the medulla causes the water in collecting duct to exit the filtrate and reabsorb into the blood. Now, DCT. The cell of the wall of the DCT are similar to those of the PCT, having numerous microvilli and mitochondria and carry out active transport. However, this tubule reabsorb varying quantity of inorganic ion in accordance with the body's need. It can also secrete substance into the filtrate to maintain a particular condition, like control of the pH. The wall of the DCT are permeable to the water only if ADH, antidiuretic hormone. Otherwise, it is impermeable to water. If it is permeable, then water exit the filtrate and enter the bloodstream. And as isotonic filtrate enter the duct. If it is not permeable, a hypotonic filtrate enter in the collecting duct. So, after that, collecting duct or also known as the CD. Okay. The distal convoluted tubule ends in the collecting duct. Several nephrons can share only single collecting duct. Final modifications are made in the filtrate, which is then emptied into the pelvis of the kidney as urine. Like the wall of the DCT, the wall of the CD or collecting duct are only permeable to water if ADH is present. Otherwise, it is impermeable to the water. ADH is the antidiuretic hormone. Now, in this picture, you can see the cortex and the medulla portion, and in which you can see which one is the active transport, which one is the passive transport. So with this slide, your chapter first life process has completed. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. So in the next video, we will start next lecture, next chapter, chapter number 2. Till then, stay at home, stay safe, be happy. Thank you.